At first we were afraid, we were petrified,
thinking everyone would hate us, but we went nationwide.
And soon had people checking in, wondering where in the world we'd been.
So we grew strong,
hey.
And now we're moving right along
to season 2
hey.
of DMP.
What?
They said that we could never do it, but we were like, oh, bitch, please! Bitch, please! Oh, my goodness! Well, welcome back to season 2 of Dicks in Politics. I am your host, Samantha, and I am here with my co-host,
CorBen.
And first of all, we need to talk about a lot. Season 2 of DMP.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy, right? Never thought we'd see the day.
Literally.
But here we are.
Yeah.
And typically, if this is your first introduction to DMP, we have 4 hosts, all right? Started off with me, Adriana, and Hannah. And then we added in CorBen, always a crowd favorite. And unfortunately, Adriana is out sick today.
Yeah.
She got the bug that I had. Sorry, Adriana. It's my fault. And then Hannah moved to Florida. I did FaceTime her today. She is doing well. Her apartment is unbelievable, but she is napping. So it's just myself and CorBen. We have listeners in the U.S.
Yes.
We have listeners in the U.K., Germany, Brazil,
okay,
Portugal,
Brazil,
China, Korea. Like, our listeners are all over the world, and we would not be in season 2 if it weren't for our listeners and if it weren't for our sponsors, Anchor FM and The Infatuation. So big thank you to you guys. If this is your first introduction to Dicks in Politics, we like to call ourselves the Millennials Guide to Life, because we cover what?
Dicks and politics.
We cover sex and dating.
Yes.
We cover current events and politics. We talk about pop culture, movie, TV, film, modern etiquette, money-saving ideas, relatable moments that made us go, oh my God, me. We cover it all. We do it in really, really short segments, and our podcast comes out once a week, every single Wednesday. iTunes, Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Breaker, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Overcast, and of course, www.dicksandpolitics.com. So, in this episode, we are going to cover our political segment, What's Burning. We're going to talk about the government shutdown, which is now done. We are going to talk about Brexit. And then we're going to talk about the Oscars and all the Oscar nominations and give our predictions. And then we're really excited because we're going to round out this episode with Dr. Tracy, Vivian, and Sasha from Flourish Media, which is a kick-ass company down in Florida. They are all about digital media, doing it right, doing it smart, and finding your voice in the workplace. What does it mean to find your confidence now? How can you find your voice? How can you navigate through difficult situations? And what inspires you to get up every day and make it happen? We are so excited to have them. And then they are also going to be talking about their event that they have coming up at the end of February down in Miami. I wish I could go. I am going to be on another business trip for my other job, but it sounds like it's going to be fantastic. So without further ado, let's get into our political segment called
What's Burning?
What is burning? So we often talk about what's happening here in the U.S. because we are in New York City, but we have a really strong following over in the U.K., and I want to talk a little bit about Brexit. And I know that this has been a hot topic, in mainstream media and world events, especially over the last 2 years, but really it goes all the way back to 1957.
That's a long marriage.
It is it's like nearly half a century. It's a long time. So basically in 1957, it was Luxembourg, Belgium, France, West Germany, and the Netherlands who were like, we have an idea. Let's sign the Treaty of Paris, which is what gave birth to the European Economic Community, or the EEC. And that was that came before today's European Union. That's what we call it. So basically the whole premise behind this was, okay, if we can all come together and we could say, all right, like, if your people want to come to my country, that's fine, and vice versa. Let's trade with each other. Let's do business together. The whole point of it was to kind of bring peace so that all these countries would be less likely to go to war with each other. And this was coming off of World War II. That's what spawned all of this. And you remember, World War I was a mess.
Yes.
World War II was also a mess.
You know, and this also kind of ties in with, separate note, but still the same thing, talking about making trade and relations between countries easier. That was actually the point of foreign exchange. So that way when we would send kids over to, say, Australia, Germany, Luxembourg, or Russia, or just wherever in the world, to help kids get a better sense of, oh my gosh, this is larger than my back door. Like, there's so many other things, and so it ties hand in hand if you think about it.
It really does. So then it's, so we're bopping right along. We get through the 70s. Everyone's, like, stoned in the 70s anyways. But then, in 1984, things got pretty bad because that's when Margaret Thatcher was prime minister.
And she was pretty conservative.
She was very conservative. And so she basically was like, we're not going to give as much money as we have been to the EEC budget. And everyone else was like, excuse me? Excuse me. So...
Well, it's almost kind of like paying rent. Like, we had all agreed upon a certain amount, and now you're not going to... I don't understand how you think this relationship is going to work.
Well, I think, like, just from, like, farm subsidies alone, it was making, I think, around 70% of the total EEC expenditures. And so when this went into effect, like, it cut Britain's contribution to the budget by, like, more than 15 or 20%. So by the time the 80s like came rolling around, this was now down to, I think, like 10, 11, 12%. It was a little bit of a cut. So we go through the 90s, and then in 97, that was when Tony Blair came along, and he was very, very pro-EU. And he was like, no, I'm going to come in and I'm going to fix all these relationships. We're going to shake all these hands, going to mend all these fences. But he had a lot sort of in front of him. Yeah. That's a big task. And then, there were all these other things happening and so on and so forth. And then now it was, let's see, I think it was 2000. Okay, so there was David Cameron who came booming along as the UK Prime Minister. And he vetoed an EU treaty in 2011. And then in 2013, he made that speech, remember, that everyone was all excited about. And I think he basically, like, promised that he was going to try to renegotiate membership in the EU. And that was going to be part of his, plan of action if he could win the majority in the next general election. So
2016 rolls around.
Yeah.
That's when the referendum came into play, and he resigned the next morning.
Yep.
And he was like, not in so many words, but he's like, guys, I think this is a mistake, but I respect the will of the people.
Yeah.
And then Theresa May comes in, and she's like, hey, listen, we have a 2-year plan. We will honor our agreements, but we will try to make a healthy transition out of. And it just went back into the House, not the House, but their Parliament, our House, our equivalent, and she barely won.
Yeah.
Barely won.
Which is kind of a shame. I like a strong one. But, I mean, no, like, I'm saying, because I just want...
Yeah.
You want women to come out on top, and I want,
but also, here's the thing with political figures. They have a lot riding on whatever their agenda may be, but whatever problems they come in with, that's what was left from their predecessor.
Exactly.
And vice versa from their predecessor. So it's not like they walk in scot-free. No, like, they're trying to deal with the mess that came before them.
Exactly. And a lot of people, you remember when Obama first came into office, and then we went into recession and all this other stuff, and everyone's like, damn it, Obama, but look at the mess he walked into, and then look at the way he left, but now we're going to, oh, jeez, well,
let's stop there.
For those of you who are joining us for the first time, we do try to stay as biased as possible. We just want to give you guys the facts so that you can sort of make your own decisions and then start your own conversations. So I did listen to an interview on NPR with a woman earlier this week, and she was describing the climate over in the UK as sort of like a hurry up and wait. It's like we've been talking about Brexit for so long now, right? So now that we're approaching sort of the decision date or the pull-out date, whatever you want to call it, people are like going out and they're buying light bulbs and butter that they can freeze and olive oil and cheese.
Yeah.
I too would be buying cheese.
I know
and
you love
all
your
these
Daphne.
things
Wow.
that they're afraid that they're not going to be able to get anymore because
Yeah.
they're not going to be able to trade. And so, you know, we're not in the UK, but we are here, and we saw how it affected our military and TSA employees and all other government employees. You come from a military family. My
Yeah.
goodness. If this had happened when you were younger, when you were still under your parents' wing, I mean, I would not want you to have to go through that as a child.
It's a scary thing, and I can't speak for everyone, but the way my parents, how they approached the last one when Obama was in office, they were prepared. And not that everyone can foresee stuff like this coming, but if you don't plan, and this is why when we have our segment about budgeting, making sure you have enough for whatever an emergency may come in your life. Government shutdowns are a natural occurrence in this country. They don't happen all the time,
but they happen.
But you know that they're going to happen.
Right.
So try to set, whether it be just enough. Because who would have thought that we would have been 33 days?
Oh my God.
Not 33, but as far as we are now in it, and just now getting over it. Some people can't even pay their rent.
I know.
Some people are scared for like, how am I gonna pay for my child's food? How am I gonna gas? Or
Well, it was interesting. A lot of landlords here in New York City were sending out notices to the brokerages that they work with, saying like, hey, look, we realize that this is really affecting a lot of people. So no penalty if people are getting in rent late to us this month. Credit card companies were calling me this month saying, hey there, if you are affected by the government shutdown, we just wanted to let you know that we're extending an extension to all of our members. Don't worry about it. And then Adriana said last week, she was talking about all the people that receive government assistance here in New York. They all got their February distributions early because the people didn't know if they'd be working or not, and they wanted to make sure that people were going to be able to buy food and get medical supplies and so on and so forth. So, for all the people that are over in the UK, first of all, if we have any listeners in the UK who would be interested in coming on this podcast as a special guest to talk to us about what it feels like over there right now and share that experience and maybe introduce us to a point of view that we don't have, we'd be thrilled. Please email us. Go to www.dixonpolitics.com, email us, send us a DM. We would love to have someone on the show. So, all right. Everyone in the UK, we're thinking of you. We can relate. We wish you guys the best. And, geez, I hope everything gets sort of smoothed out as soon as possible. And that this does not have jostling effects on jobs and trade and food and all the things that we need to survive, and not just we here in the U.S. I mean, we all over the world. It's very important for us to work together and work with one another, not against one another. So let's talk a little bit about the Oscars. So we're going to go right into our next segment called ##.
All right, so I don't know if you were watching, but I caught a little snippet of it, and I pulled up the article no sooner they were done airing it. So do we want to go from top to bottom, or do you want to hit our top 5 on the list?
Let's go top 5.
Top 5. Okay, so obviously Best Picture. Now, there's been a lot of commotion about Black Panther because I don't think there's ever been. It is the very first action-packed movie to get a nomination. Because
really?
Yes, because normally they steer away from that because, the Academy is about the drama, the art, the craft of storytelling.
I mean, Black Panther was all about the drama, the art, and the craft of storytelling.
And I thought Ryan Coogler did an amazing job direct. Like, the cinematography was on
It was, absolutely.
And
I loved the way that it was filmed. And I know I made that comment in Season 1, Episode 9 with Dana Powell. I did make a comment about that off-color, literally, pun intended, that off-color joke they made in the movie about, another stupid white man we need to fix. I did not like that. But what a fantastic movie. I mean, really.
Yeah.
The pace, the tonality, everything, the costume design, the way that the whole thing was filmed. I loved Black Panther. And that fight scene, oh my God, oh my goodness,
it had me going.
That was quite a scene. Anytime I see like a big crowd of bad guys coming and there's only like a few good guys, I'm always just edge of my seat. It was terrific.
So for Best Picture, we have Black Panther, Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody. We'll get into that in a second, you guys. The Favorite, Green Book, Roma, A Star is Born, and Vice.
Okay.
Now, did you see any of these pictures?
So I saw A Star Is Born.
How was that?
Oh, I mean, it was a masterpiece. An absolute masterpiece. You know, and you and I talked about this before, but we'll say it now for the listeners. So when an artist is just so good, you're like, all right, well then let's get really, really picky. Let's drill it down. What I will say is that there were some scenes, some conversations in the very, very, very beginning of the film with Lady Gaga, with Stephanie Germanotta, and the way that she was saying her lines, you know, so for example, sometimes when an actor sees that they are having sort of a confrontational conversation in a scene, they have a tendency to sort of like stutter and you know, oh, I wasn't looking at you funny, you know, something
Filling
like
it
that.
in, yeah.
They're filling it in. When you really don't need to do that, because what you have to remember is if you're really, really good at your craft, if you're really good at acting, your body language is going to say it all. The way that you're looking at your co-star, all the way down to the way that your hands are resting. And so it was already so obvious to me how she was feeling and thinking in that moment as a character that those sort of filler little beats for me, totally not necessary. But my God, first of all, that opening scene where she's singing La Vie en Rose, she is captivating. And then the rest of the film is just, I loved the way it was filmed. I loved that in their home that they had together, you never quite felt comfortable there. You know how you watch some films and they walk you into a home and you think, oh my God, I could totally sit on that couch. I know exactly what's going on here. You know.
Did you feel like an invited guest, or did you feel like I have no business being here while this is happening?
It wasn't really either. It was sort of like a, I've never been in a place like this before. And it wasn't just the way that it looked, but it was also the way it was lit, the way that it felt. But what a spectacular movie. Spectacular, spectacularly sad, but captivating. And then the last thing I will say about the film is Lady Gaga ends the film with an incredible ballad. And I'll admit, when it first started, I'm listening to the first few chords and I'm thinking, oh, geez, it's just going to be another ballad. But something about her and the way that she sings it and the way that she allows it to completely take her over is world class. And finally, I am so glad that she agreed to do this film, because now my parents' generation, now they can see what we've been seeing. She is a trained lyricist and pianist and singer. She went to school for this. She's not someone that woke up and was like, oh, I think, no, like this acting and this art, this is something she's been studying her entire life, and boy, did she get it right.
She did an interview with the Hollywood Reporter at the Actors Roundtable, and her being the newest one at the table, sitting next to Glenn Close, which I thought was very well done on the reporter's part. And she'd said, I don't come from acting. However, I created the characters when I was while I was playing on stage of people and the women that I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Those are my characters, and everyone at the table was kind of floored. They were like, wow, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Absolutely.
So I only think her career can only go up from here, and I think it's the first time ever in history for a single individual to not only be nominated for a song, but also Best Actor.
Good.
Best Actress.
So my parents just saw Green Book, and they said that it was phenomenal.
Now, you know what that's based off of, Green Book?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I do think that it's really important for us to sort of show not only those types of stories and narratives, but I think it's important to show them in certain time periods, because, 2018, 2017, that whole period was really very racially charged. And our generation and the generation right behind us is like, oh my God, this is brand new information. But no. This has been going on forever.
Yeah.
And luckily we are just now starting to break through it, thank goodness. But yeah, they said the Green Book was absolutely fantastic.
Well, and then on that note of race, and then we'll move on, if you look at like South Africa and apartheid, that was not that long ago. That was not that long ago. Like, race is still like a hot topic up for. It's going to be never ending, and until we can learn to just not see color and just see the individual, the human being for their work ethic and for just how they conduct themselves, then it'll no longer become an issue. Because, like I was telling you, anytime someone asks me where I'm from, and I tell them, oh, I'm from Alaska, the first thing out of their mouth, if not 99% of the time, is there are black people in Alaska.
Right.
And I can tell they don't mean anything by it because it's just plain innocence, but the ignorance or they just don't know.
And you know what I also think people need to be very careful with is when this was sort of a trending word in 2017, 2016. Oh, I'm colorblind. That's not the point. We're not asking you to not see color. We're not saying, oh, everyone looks the same to me. It's a matter of trying to understand, you know, where people are coming from a traditional and a cultural and a religious and, you know, social standpoint, and then just say, you know what? That's what you believe. This is what I believe. I'm going to carry myself this way. You carry yourself that way. In the end, we're all just trying to get by and care for ourselves and our families. So who cares? We are all the same in that way. So tell me more about the Oscars.
Best Actor, we have Christian Bale for Vice. We have Bradley Cooper for A Star Is Born. William Dafoe for An Eternity's Gate. Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody.
Ugh.
Okay.
Right.
Let's get this done and over with.
Okay,
I know you're burning with this.
So, I don't know. This is a question to the listeners. Did you guys see that interview where it was a really nice young woman? They were all alone. It was nighttime. Alone in the street. It looked like they were in New York City. And she was like, hey, do you mind if we take a video for my friends? And he's like, no, but we can take a picture. And she was already recording. And, like, who the hell are you? Who the hell are you? I didn't see you vomiting. I didn't see you bleeding. I didn't see you unconscious on the side of the road. I didn't see any of that. So, by all means, you looked perfectly well to stop and take a video. How hard is it for you to say, hey everyone, how's it going? Hope you have a happy holidays and don't forget to go see the movie. Thanks, bye. How hard is that? Please answer that for me. It's not difficult. And you know, Michelle, for those of you who watch RuPaul's Drag Race, Michelle Visage went on and did an interview, I think it was on Hey Queen TV, and she was talking about the entitled queens. And the drag queens, you know, nowadays who don't even bother to stop for an autograph or a picture. Who the hell are you? She said. She goes, you are a man in a wig. If someone wants a picture with you, an autograph from you, you better give it to them. Especially when they're going to DragCon. Because DragCon, it costs money to get into that show. And she's like, some of these kids don't have $30. For them to spend $30 to get in the show, that's a lot. You know, it goes back to what we said in episode 10, season 1, our final episode in season 1. Like, this podcast has taken off. If anyone ever was like, Sam, can I get a picture with you? Oh my God, I would be tickled. Or, you know, hey Sam, you talked about this on your podcast. Do you have any tips about this? I would love to help. Like, isn't that why you get into the public eye? Because you want to bring people joy through your craft or through whatever the hell it is that you're doing. And then, relate to people. Make them feel appreciated and like they're not alone. I don't know. That's my intention for doing this. But clearly, that's not how Mr. Remy whatever, Bohemian Bing Bong, that's clearly not how he feels. Not cool. It's a bad look.
So on to Beck. Guys, she is heated. If you could see her right now.
Passionate.
So on for Best Actress, we have, I can't say her name and I feel so bad. Roma, which is this Mexican film. It's a foreign film.
Show me her name. What are you looking at?
Roma.
Oh, Yalitza.
Okay, Yalitza. She's nominated for Roma. Glenn Close for the wife. Olivia Colman for The Favorite. Lady Gaga for A Star Is Born, and Melissa McCarthy for Can You Ever Forgive Me. Now I have to say this: I did not see The Wife. I know we love ourselves some Melissa McCarthy. I did not see The Wife. However, I was able to read a little bit of the script, and when I was looking at it, and when I was watching,
did you audition for it?
No.
I'm like, how did you get the script? For those of you who don't know, CorBen is an actor. He's a working actor. He's not just like, oh, I want to be. No. CorBen is a working actor, so we're very lucky to even get him on the show. And you are Equity, right?
Yes, I am Equity.
Got your
I was reading a little bit of the script, and when I was reading it, I was like, these stage directions, like, man, and you're playing it one way in your mind when you read it, but when you actually get to do it or watch one, and it's like, that's a strong choice. I would have never have thought. And the way she plays the scene when she's speaking to her husband, and I can't remember the actor's name who plays her husband, she is going in on him. But before that happens, she's having a real internal battle with herself, and you see it working behind her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And it is presentational. Uta Hagen talks about this in her book, Challenge for the Actor. There's presentational versus representational. Representational is what we see on stage or on the TV, like it's physically done.
Mm-hmm.
Representational is internal work. And watching it come from the internal, and I think Glenn Close is phenomenal at that. She is a beast in this business.
I love Glenn Close.
Oh my gosh. Now, Melissa McCarthy. I think this is her first nomination, if I'm not mistaken, for an Oscar.
I think you might be right.
Because we mainly know her from is her comedy.
Right.
And she's very good, and they always say comedic actors or actresses make really good drama.
Yes. I was telling our good friend Dana Powell, Modern Families, Dana Powell, she plays Pam. I was talking to her the other day, and I'm like, and she's like, oh, I've always wanted to do a more serious role. I said, Dana, you've got what it takes. Because anyone who can be quick and funny, right? Comedy, you either have it or you don't. It's not really something that can be taught. Yeah, you can take improv classes. Of course, you can always be better, sharpen your tools, but comedy and comedic timing, you have to be so smart and so sharp. But you also have to be able to go deep, because a lot of comedy comes from truth, and sometimes the truth hurts. I am thrilled to see Melissa going into a more serious role. I think that she is such a star. I've always felt that way. And she wasn't the only comedic actor to take a sort of leap into a more dramatic role.
Jonah Hill.
Yeah, Jonah Hill did it, and did it very well.
Oh, yes.
And then Steve Carell this year.
Oh, yeah.
In, what's that?
Boy Erased?
Yeah, Boy Erased.
With Timothy, I'm forgetting
Timothy Chalamet.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. I haven't seen it, but I've seen tons of clips. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Excellent work. And how nice is it to know that, hey, you know what? This person can absolutely make me laugh. And I love that they can make me laugh. But now they can make me really feel something deep. I think, I'm tickled.
Guys, clearly you know we enjoy the Oscars. I mean, we enjoy movies and film franchise. So we're not going to drag on too long with this. So we're going to do one more, and then we're going to go on to our next segment. Now, I know we love our animated films.
Yes.
Now, Sam and I were away on holiday, and we were trying to go see Incredibles 2, which is one of the nominated. So tell them what happens when we get there.
It was a mess. It was a mess.
So we drive about, 25 minutes out of our way.
Yeah, I mean, no, it was like 15 minutes or so, because we were going to go to Abby's house afterwards.
That's right.
For those of you who don't know Abby, she's our senior vice president of PR and digital strategy for the production company that we're under, called Whatever You Say Productions. So we were going to go to Abby's for dinner that night, and we thought, you know what, before we go to Abby's, let's go see Incredibles 2. We're in this tiny town in New England, right? We go to the movie theater, we pull up, we are all excited, we have our sweatpants on, we are ready to go. And you want to know what's waiting for us? A crappy, wrinkly little piece of paper that says Incredibles 2 sold out. And it's taped to the window. And I said, you have got to be kidding me. But I finally watched it, and I loved it. Did you love it?
I haven't seen it yet. It's coming on It's coming on Netflix this week. I'm very excited to watch it. Now, from what I've heard, the storyline is very good. Now, talk about that, because it's like she goes off to work and he's the stay-at-home parent.
Yeah.
And how you see him handle her struggle for what she dealt with for, the beginning years of their marriage.
Yeah. Well, I think over the last few years, I'd say maybe 2012, 2013 was when we started to really see a shift in the way that even companies were advertising themselves. Do you remember Tide detergent started to feature a commercial with two fathers and like a stay-at-home dad, and then there was a mom and a dad with just a stay-at-home dad. And so this whole notion of stay-at-home dads has really become a thing. Not only is it sort of a social norm and expectation now, but companies are also celebrating it and giving fathers the same amount of paternity leave as they give mothers for maternity leave. So for The Incredibles 2,
Bob.
Yeah, so
Mr. Incredible.
Yes. So she, Elastigirl, she gets an incredible job opportunity and goes off, and Bob is home with the kids. So he's got Violet, who's like a full-blown teenager. He's got Dash, who is like a tween. And then they have Jack, who, and I know you guys have seen some of the commercials, so it's not a spoiler. Turns out Jack has powers, and we remember
has all the powers.
We remember in the end of the first Incredibles movie, we realized what did he do? Did he burst into flames or something?
He burst into flames. His laser eyes just destroyed Cinder's plane, and he has all the powers. He has
all the powers, and it's funny because first of all, I love the storyline. I think that Disney and as a company, as well as Pixar and DreamWorks and all these, they've done such a good job at making these animated films very human, very feeling. And it was good to see some old characters come back.
Edna,
unchanged and just as funny as they were before, sliding in some jokes that are relevant to the 2017s, 2018s, 2019s. It was such a fantastic movie, action-packed. They also brought back some of the humor from the original movie, the moments that made us laugh. They sort of found a way to weave those in. Just all around, it was a lot of fun to walk down that road again. I absolutely loved it, and I can't wait until it comes out because I want you to come over so we can watch it together.
I'm excited.
Deal?
Deal.
All right. Well, speaking of spending time with friends and encouraging one another, being on the same page, I am so pleased to go into our next segment, which features all of the women from Flourish Media. We had such a nice time speaking with them. It was myself and Adriana. And again, we were talking all about, what does it mean to find your confidence in the workplace today? But also, when you think about digital strategy, like what are the 3 things that you always have to consider? Because all the time, people are launching small businesses or they're trying to brand themselves. And these women gave such good advice about how to navigate digital strategy, the workplace, and today's society in a positive way, in a productive way, and in a forward-moving way. So without further ado, everyone, please join me in welcoming Vivian, Sasha, and Dr. Tracy. Well, we've had a lot of very interesting people on this show, but this is the first time we have some really kick-ass businesswomen on with us. So everyone, please join us in welcoming Tracy, Vivian, and Sasha.
Yay!
Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Hello.
So now, are you all down in Florida?
Vivian and I are. This is Tracy. Vivian and I are here, and Sasha is actually in our Atlanta office.
So everyone basically has better weather than us because it's pouring rain in New York City today. But we are so excited to have all 3 of you joining us. There's a lot that we want to talk about just what it means to be a woman today. So let's start out with introductions, just in case our audience doesn't know who you guys are. I'd love for you to tell us your name, the company that you work for, where you're from, and maybe an interesting fact about you that not a lot of people know. So Tracy, let's start with you.
Oh, an interesting fact. That's going to be hard. Well, my name is Tracy Timberlake, and we are all collectively the co-founders of Flourish Media Conference and Flourish Media. And I'm a business coach by trade, a digital strategist. Interesting thing about me, I have double jointed thumbs.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Vivian, how about you? Tell us about you.
Hello, my name is Vivian. You can find me on Instagram at Vivian Olo. So happy to be here and a part of Flourish Media and Flourish Media Conference happening in Miami, Florida, February 22nd and 23rd. I am a marketing advisor, and I work with a lot of business owners to help them to be able to find strategies that make it so easy for money to find them. An interesting fact about me is that I just finished writing a book.
Good for you. And where can we find your book? When it comes, is it out or it's not out yet?
It will be out in February, and I'm going to make free copies available for download, some teaser copies, and you can get them through Flourish Media.
Perfect. Well, we'll have to have you back. We'll have to have a book party.
Yeah.
And have
I
you
would
back
love
when it
that.
comes
That'd be
out.
fun.
We'd be thrilled. All right. Now, Sasha, last but not least, tell us about you.
All right. So I'm Sasha Revelis, and of course, founder of Flourish. I am a brand manager and creative director. And an interesting fact about me is that I also have a nonprofit, and I'm currently building 2 schools in Haiti.
Oh my God, that's
Wow, that's great.
amazing. Good for you. So, how did you get involved in that? Was that like, did you know someone, or did you wake up one morning and say, you know what, I see that there's an area that needs my help. I'm going to just go for it. Tell us a little bit about that.
I wish I could take all the credit, but I'm by nationality, Haitian and Cuban. My mother and father are very involved in all things Haiti. My family consistently goes back and forth. And my mother had a friend who was a teacher, and she told us about some of the needs that they were lacking for students. And we went down one summer, and 5 years later, we have been taking care of them. And then this year, we decided we're going to build them new facilities because after the hurricane, their
Mm-hmm.
entire school was destroyed. It was like a
Oh my
pile of.
gosh.
So we
Yeah.
went down and we decided we're going to raise the money and we're going to build these schools for them. So it's really just my family is from Haiti. It's the area where my mother grew up as a child. So we wanted
That's incredible.
yeah.
I love that. I love that. This is Samantha. So I'm adopted and I'm from Thailand. And I was very fortunate to have been adopted when I was young, but a lot of the orphanage that I was in and then was also connected to a school that was all built by wonderful volunteers and organizations. And I just, now here I am. I'm 30. I live in the US. I own a business. I'm happy. And so, absolutely what you're doing is setting these kids up for a wonderful future that they so deserve. I think that's really awesome. So thank you for doing that on behalf of all children who need a little extra hand in the beginning of their days.
Have the same
So-
story that you have.
Oh, really?
I know. I said I hope they all have the same story you have.
Oh, I thought you said you had. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're twins. Well, yeah, you know what? I really truly believe that we are a result of the kindness that we're shown. I truly, truly believe that. And, I think as you navigate through teen years and then into your young adult and so on and so forth, so many times we're desperately trying to pull from positive experiences. And the more you have, the better, especially in those early developmental years. So I think that's just fantastic. Now, I want to talk to you guys and get some tips because we have a lot of listeners that are young women. And being a woman today, it's a great time to be a woman because we're seeing a big shift, but we are still, I think, and I think everyone would agree, kind of in the beginning phases of seeing this shift in, women sort of rising up and standing up for themselves and finding their voices. I was wondering if we could go around and talk about your tips for finding confidence in the workplace. I think that can be sort of tricky for a lot of people to navigate. And it's hard sometimes, I think, to distinguish between when you're getting critiqued as a person and when you're getting critiqued as an employee. So, Tracy, I'd like to start with you. What sort of things can people do to find their voice and find their confidence at work?
Well, I think one of the main things, especially when you're going into the workplace, is you have to understand who you are and how you operate. I'm a huge proponent of self-awareness and self-education in terms of understanding who you are, because sometimes we can go into a work environment and there's so many different kinds of people. If we don't know who we are or how we operate or how we relate to other people, then we can get lost in that, and it's very easy for us to kind of adopt opinions, adopt other things that people are telling us without knowing ourselves. So one of the things that I learned going into the workplace after I graduated from college was just get to know yourself as much as possible. I took every personality test. I mean, encouraged by my mentors, but I took every personality test, every assessment that was available to me, so that I was secure and I understood me before I added other people into the mix.
Excellent. I love that. I think that's
That's a good
so,
tip.
It's so important to know yourself. And even, and I just for the younger viewers, or sorry, not viewers, for the younger listeners that are like, how am I supposed to know myself? I'm 17.
Right.
Just take take those tests and know that who you are might change,
Yeah.
over the years, but who you are in your heart, I think always stays the same, and really being tapped into that can
Yeah,
give you a lot of confidence.
Mhm.
So, Vivian, how about you? What did you do to kind of find your voice and find your footing in the workplace?
Well, I have the benefit of having a big mouth and a lot of
I can relate.
Yes.
So when I went into the workforce, one of the things that I needed to come to terms with and gave me a lot of peace as I was working in corporate America was understanding that I don't know everything and I'm not supposed to know everything.
Yes,
I
that's
think
very
that
important.
when you're walking into the workplace and you take your time and you think, okay, I'm here, they hired me. And some of us have these personalities where, we're overachievers. We want to shine bright. We want to show that we're here for a good reason. And sometimes they'll walk into situations where you are not asking the questions that you should be asking. You're not putting yourself in a position to be the best version of yourself because you think you know everything and you don't. There's no way that you could. So when you're looking around at your coworkers, and I think Dr. Tracy did say something that was really important when she's mentioned her mentors, when you're walking into your work environment and you don't know yourself, but you can see what the outcome of working in that environment could be for you by looking at your other coworkers. And when you look at them and you see those who are happy or those who are excelling, make those people your companions. Reach out to them
Yes.
and ask them questions, and they can one day become a mentor who can really be very pivotal and be one of those kind people in your life.
Absolutely. And I think also when you work for a great company, and I think so many companies are paying attention to culture now, which means that they're paying attention to the people that they're hiring. And they're paying close attention to their personalities and all these different sort of instincts that they have. I think another thing that we need to remember is that it's okay to go to your coworkers and ask them a question or start a conversation. Hey, how was your weekend? They might not always have the same reaction as you, but more times than not, people do want to give you a hand, especially when you're brand new.
Yeah.
So, you can't be afraid of that. Sasha, what about you? How did you find your voice in the workplace?
So I was the last to enter the corporate world and the last to jump ship from the corporate world. And I think something that I had to learn was that I didn't need to dim my light in the workplace, but I had to be respectful of other people's light. And I think that's something that helps with your confidence. You may know that you can do something amazing, but being helpful can help with your confidence because people will reassure you, people will be nice to you, people will respect the fact that yes, I know she can do this by herself and I need help and she's willing to take a moment and help me in that. And that's something that I learned.
Sure.
I had a very short time frame in a workplace that wasn't my own. That could probably be the biggest lesson that I learned from that for sure.
That's great. And I think what it all ties back to is just communication, not only with you and your inner self, but with the people around you and working that to your benefit. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about, 2018, I feel like was the year of the woman. And we're moving into that, very much the same in 2019. I don't know if you have been experiencing this, but us up here in New York City, we've been having a lot of conversations with our guy friends and how they are now starting to feel a little bit uneasy in the workplace. Should they even, be in a conference room alone with a female coworker? And it's very silly. I feel sort of bad saying that, but it is almost a little bit silly. But I also appreciate that they want to be cautious and mindful. So I'm wondering, do you have any tips, especially for young men that are kind of up and coming in the workplace, for just maybe finding a way to feel a little bit more comfortable and not feel so confused and threatened by the changing climate and the changing dynamic? Tracy, I'll start with you.
Sure. I think, well, I think there's a lot of kind of education that probably has to happen before everyone is
Yes.
comfortable with it, because, it does seem like it kind of just sprung up out of nowhere. As women, it's really important that we're confident. But one of the things that I think women have when it comes to leadership or a leadership dynamic is we do have this ability to be more emotionally connected and lead from an emotional intelligence quotient, a lot more so than men. And so we can tap into that when we're dealing with people of all kinds, whether they're men or women or whatever. And so I think as women, and I know this is not, it doesn't mean that it's right. I just think that this is what is probably going to have to happen, is that we'll have to do our best to operate as partnerships, and to even exemplify what that looks like in the workplace, so that the people that we're working with will see that we're here to collaborate and not necessarily to just take over everything, which can happen.
Right. I think that's
Collaboration is
wonderful.
very important. And as women, I think we like community and collaboration. So if we can
Yeah.
operate from that place, I think we're in good shape. And hopefully they can feel a little bit better about having us in there.
Hopefully they can follow suit.
Right.
Vivian, have you ever had, a situation where, you were taking leadership with something and you could sort of tell that the men around you weren't totally comfortable with it, whether it was jealousy or, just them being macho, for lack of a better term, that you can pull an experience from and give our listeners a suggestion for how to kind of soften that blow? And, like Tracy said, work in a way that's collaborative and not in a way that's, hello, I'm here, move.
Well, I will say that, it's a beautiful thing when men and women are able to work together. I come from a background where almost every position I've ever been in, I've worked with more men than I have with women. I worked in cash security, I've worked in fraud detection, I've worked in tech and finance, and it's been a men's world. It wasn't until I transitioned into real estate and marketing that I was working with women. And I will say that when working with men, it's a kind of fun thing to think back to our fun cosmopolitan type days, or reading a teen magazine, and the overcomplication that we give to men, that we kind of impose on them. But they're quite simple creatures. And when you can show that you're good at what you do, it's hard to come back at that in any type of demeaning or minimizing environment from a man's perspective. So I think that when you're working with men, or when you're trying to help them to feel more comfortable with you, it's good to focus on statistics, to remind them of facts, to remind them of history, and to lean into that. Lean into the great work that you're able to do because you are a woman, and despite the fact that you are a woman.
Yes, ma'am. All right. I love that, Vivian. Sasha, tell us your magical tricks.
Okay, sure. Now, I grew up with an older brother and mainly older cousins. I've always normally been like the only girl in a room, or the youngest girl in a room, whichever. And I started out in kind of sort of the music world and fashion world, where it's 50-50, but the people who are in charge are always men. I've never quite had an issue with being uncomfortable, because as Vivian, I also have a very big mouth. But I'm also very quick to say, I don't like, I do like, don't do this, do this. And being very, very clear with people. And I feel like for men and for women, just listening to people can make a huge difference. A lot of times, no. And no is just no. And if I'm good, I don't really want to do that, that's not really the direction that I want to go in. If you respect someone's opinion, whoever it is, woman, man, cat, dog, as long as you respect it, I think everyone will be fine. It doesn't need to be a man or a woman issue. It needs to be a respect for a human issue.
Absolutely. Very well said. I wish I could just have all three of you at my side in person all the time, so that anytime someone tries to give me grief, not only will they hear from me, but they'll also have to hear from the three of you. We could create an army.
It's the
Change
Lady
the
Boss
world.
Squad.
Yeah,
There it is.
absolutely.
Mhm.
So let's shift this a little bit over to digital strategy, which I know is really your area of expertise. And I'll open the floor to all three of you. You know, when someone is either starting a company from the ground up, or they're going through a rebranding, or, you know, they're sort of trying to dip their toes in the water and figure out, you know, what's going to work, you know, what's not going to work, what are the, you know, let's say maybe three, what are the three steps or the three components that you always need to consider when creating a very, very strong digital strategy?
Well, I'll give one. Well, we can each give one, I guess. I think the most important thing is remember that when you're creating a digital strategy, it's not about you. It's about the people that you're trying to help and you're trying to serve. A lot of times, even if it's a personal brand, you may see pictures of me, you may see pictures of us, but understand the things that we do and the content that we produce in the digital world, it's always going to be about the tribe, the people that we're serving. And I think people get that wrong a lot of the times, and they think that, you know, let me just post all about my life. And while that's great if you want to be a model or an influencer even, but if you're running a business and you're trying to make money by serving people, then definitely remember that your digital strategy is less about you and more about your people.
Perfect. All right.
The next thing I would say is that whatever campaign you're working on, that you should have measurable results. So
Yes.
start with a goal and then create benchmarks within that goal so that you can measure your success. I think a lot of small business owners or brands, they may say that I want to have a strong impact online. I want a lot of digital impressions. Well, you can get a lot of digital impressions by paying for a Facebook ad or purchasing, your Google AdWords. But is that a success if you don't convert it into any sales and you don't make any money? For us,
Nope.
we say no.
No way.
You're in business to make money. So we want to know, to number one, set goals, setting benchmarks, and then be able to measure those things so that you can make assessments and make changes so that you can make improvements.
Excellent.
I guess my one would be understanding how visuals work for people, not you.
Yes.
A lot of the times we pick our favorite colors, we pick our favorite fonts and our favorite pictures, and it doesn't necessarily translate when you're creating a brand for other people. If you're just selling to yourself and you intend to buy everything that you produce, pick your favorite color. That's not a problem.
I love that.
Right. If you intend to sell to other people, understand exactly what your brand visuals need to look like to speak to your customer.
Perfect. I think that is so important. It's sort of, when we go in and we embark on something, we do tend to start out with the initiative from a very personal place. And so you are, just as all of you said, you are sort of picking the colors and fonts and pictures that you would like and verbiage that you really like. But it isn't about you. It's about engaging with other people. And so as a sales executive, something that I am consciously working to do is really demonstrate to my potential clients as well as my existing clients that I'm listening to them. And I think so many times, especially in the sales environment, like if I'm doing cold calls, people automatically, when I call them, are like, oh, God, hello, Samantha, I'm well, and you? And it really does, it behooves me and it really helps me to demonstrate to them that I'm listening, because ultimately it's not about me. I'm not reaching out, for my fun. I'm reaching out because I want to identify if there is an opportunity for me to be helpful to that person, their team, their company, and so on.
Yeah, I also wanted to add that I am constantly rebranding because I'm trying to come out with my own thing. So I just wanted to know what you guys thought of, like, is it okay to rebrand as much as you can just to reach your customers and just A/B test what you're doing before you launch?
Yeah, totally. You should. Listen, my personal brand, and this is Sasha speaking, my personal brand, I have rebranded probably in the last 4 years, 3 times. And
awesome.
Mainly because I wanted it to feel right for every time a customer came back and was like, oh, I thought you did this. I'm like, okay, something's wrong here because I don't do that.
And good for you for noticing that, because a lot of people would be like, oh, well, screw that person. I don't need them. Yes, you do.
Mm-hmm.
You need to listen to your customers. And if they're confused, or, you know, whether they come out and say, I'm confused, or they say, oh, well, I thought blah, blah, blah. You have to make an adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
You must. Sorry, Sasha, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just got so excited because you're speaking my language.
Totally right.
So tell us. Oh, no. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I want to hear about your event because I want to get as many people to your event as we possibly can. So I know it's coming right up. It's right around the corner. So people are going to have plenty of time to register and go there. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Who's going to be there? What is the experience going to be like? And then what are you hoping all of your guests are going to walk away with?
Flourish Media Conference is an outstanding opportunity for women in business to connect, to understand branding, visibility, and funding. It's really been a wonderful opportunity for us to be a liaison between our very happy customers who have made up to $15 million available to reinvest into businesses that are owned and operated by women, and also to help women business owners who are trying to find their footing, who are looking for opportunities to scale, and who want to be seen in major retail environments, for them to hear directly from VCs, from people who have already done it, what they need to do in order to get there. So Flourish Media Conference taking place in Miami, Florida, February 22nd and 23rd is a really great opportunity for women to get out of their environment, to get into some warm weather.
Yep.
And, you know, treat yourself, invest in yourself. We don't think anything of spending tens of thousands of dollars on graduate education. Dr. Tracy, myself, and Sasha, we're college educated. We've done that. We've invested in ourselves. And then we have the opportunity to have your own business. There's not always someone there who can help you in the same way to get to where you want to go. So Flourish Media Conference is an opportunity. Last year, we had just under 100 women who came here to Miami to share ideas. We had women who have had businesses that are selling popcorn in chain grocery stores, to those who have retail stores inside of the different airports. We have women who started a liquor company. We're so proud of her because she pitched her business during our pitch segment last year. She was able to use the investment that she received, and now she's in retail stores in her area. There's been so many relationships that have come out of the conference with other women business owners helping each other. And, you know, grab your business bestie and get to Miami, make this investment in yourself, and get your ticket to Flourish Media Conference. And we have much more information at flourishmediaconference.com if you'd like to be able to get your ticket and attend. I know that Sasha has some really great speakers lined up for us, and I'll turn it over to her.
Yes, I totally have amazing speakers. And I did want to mention one more thing before I tell you about all of our speakers. The conference is for women, but we are definitely men friendly. We're all about business. There's no fluff at this conference. So just FYI. So we have some amazing speakers. We have Aisha Talia, who is like an Instagram superstar and the world's hottest vegan, who is going to be talking about how to monetize yourself on Instagram. We have Talia Oliver, who is a former editor of The Shade Room, also talking about monetizing yourself in ads. Anna Santos, who is one of the most amazing business accountants in Miami with over like 30 years plus of history behind her. We also have Eve Carr Montpolison from Creole Essence. She is going to be talking about pitching your business. She has been successful. She actually recently just sold out on HSN with her product, and she is a 4-time pitch winner. So she'll be talking to our pitch contestants, telling them about everything they can do to have the same success that she has. We also have Morgan Owens, who is going to be there. She's an amazing brand strategist, going to be there talking about your visuals and how to reach your audience. I mean, it's like 43 amazing, badass women that are going to be there to do like hands down facts, no like super fluffy things, just tell you how to do it and how they made the money and how they met their audience and got it done.
You know, I love this because as someone who's worked in the events industry for about 10 years now, when I started reading about your event that's coming up in about a month, I could really tell that the way that you all put it together not only was very strategic, but it was very thoughtful. And I can tell it's going to just be such a valuable investment for everyone who's able to join you. So once again, it's February 23rd, 22nd and 23rd. Did I get that right?
That is right. February 22nd and 23rd. It is a Friday and Saturday. We invite you to come from all around, from where you're listening, to be able to put the date in your calendar. And I'll say it again. It is February 22nd and 23rd in Miami, Florida. You can find out more at flourishmediaconference.com. Our tickets are on Eventbrite. And is it okay if we give your listeners a special code? And just to say thank
absolutely.
you. Great. So you can use the code The Tribe, TheTribe, The Tribe, and you can get 10% off your tickets to Flourish Media Conference, February 22nd and 23rd in Miami, Florida.
Awesome.
Nice.
This is going to be great, you guys, and I wish you all the best. I unfortunately will be in Texas, so I can't make it for another conference for my other job. But, you know, seriously, for our listeners out there, you're going to miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, and you're never going to get answers to questions if you don't ask. One of the most valuable things you can do in your personal as well as your professional development is go and find people like Vivian, like Tracy, like Sasha, who have done it, who have been there, and who have found success. Ask them, what the heck did you guys do? And then find a way to make it your own so that you can rise to your full potential. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us and for spending time with us. We were so looking forward to this interview, and I just can't wait. You are very, very welcome. I'm so glad that I found you guys on Instagram. We wish you all the best, and we'll speak with you soon. All right? And good luck with your book.
Thank you so much.
What do you think of the interview?
I have no words. Like
I knew you were going to love it.
Wow.
I knew it. And our listeners, you know, they love hearing perspective from other people. They love when other people come on the show. We were so lucky to score this interview. I mean, we are just getting started.
Yeah.
And when I sent Dr. Tracy our media kit, I was like, oh man, I hope we're cool enough. I hope we're big enough. And she could not have been nicer. Her entire team, fantastic to work with. And we are going to leave you with a snippet of them talking about their event that's coming up. Again, it's February. It's in Miami. It's going to be fantastic. And as I said in the interview, I've been in the events industry for a long time. I can sniff BS from 3 miles away. And this event is really thoughtfully put together, and people that go are going to get a lot out of it. So, all right. Well, that wraps up.
That's a wrap. I can't believe it went by that fast.
1 of season 2 of Dicks and Politics. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for spreading the word. Thank you for telling your friends. For those of you who like Dicks and Politics, but you might be looking for a little something different, we do have 2 other shows that are under the same production umbrella. So we have When I Knew, which is a human interest piece. It comes out the first Friday of every month. So season 1 is going to premiere on Friday, February 8th, but we do have 2 episodes out right now that are streaming on all major platforms, iTunes, Spotify, and the like. And we also have a show called Microscope, which is all about talking about science and the environment and microbiology, what's really going on, what's really happening, and what, if anything, can we do to be helpful for the health and well-being of our planet. That is going to be coming out every other Monday on iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, all those good places. That is premiering on Monday, February 4th. And that is co-hosted by myself and my friend Mike, who is getting a PhD in microbiology. Mike is he's brilliant. Mm-hmm. He's really excited about the show. So are we. I can't thank you all enough for your support. And for those of you who are new, welcome.
Yes, welcome,
We're
you guys.
Thrilled
Thank
to have
you for finding
here.
us.
Yeah, and so we will catch you next Wednesday. So I am Samantha.
I'm CorBen.
And you have listened to Dicks and Politics.
Thank you for listening to Dicks and Politics.
Digestible and unfiltered content about men, money, and moments.
New episodes every Wednesday.
Don't forget to subscribe.